Chapter 2. Alone. Sunlight touched Jack's eyes. He felt a weight on top of his body. His head hurt from a rock that he crashed upon. He opened his eyes, immediately realizing that his dead green parent's body was the weight on him. He screamed and panicked as he pushed Norg off of himself. He slowly stood up, too dehydrated to cry. He caressed Norg's face and forced himself to look away. The entire village was ash, singed wood, and dead bodies. He looked at his four hands and cringed at the sight of gray skin. "That's not important right now," he told himself. Prior to stepping away, he looked at Norg one last time. "I can't bury this many people. I'm not strong enough to return them to the planet. I'm sorry." A twig snapped less than 50 paces away. He looked to see a roaming beast sniffing the air. Jack gasped at the sight of people he saw just yesterday, not only dead now, but their flesh was being consumed by beasts. He placed his hands on his mouth, dismayed by the sight. He wanted to run, but knew he could not possibly outrun the beasts, should it come to that. He felt a relief that the beasts had not noticed him yet, then guilt at the sense of self-preservation over the tragedy before him. With that, Jack crouched down and began to sneak away, convincing himself that he needed to distance himself from this gruesome sight. He heard a bone snap from behind. He glanced back and saw Mill's ribs ripping out of his chest by the powerful maw of a beast. Jack stumbled, lost his balance, and almost fell. He caught himself, but at the cost of crushing some broken wood, thus alerting the beasts to his presence. Every beast turned their attention to Jack. The fight-or-flight instinct kicked in, and Jack sprinted off. He could hear their clawed hooves stamping behind, chasing him. The thunderous sound became louder, and closer it came. He did not need to look behind to know how far away they were. "I can't stop! I can't stop!" were his only thoughts. He ran further and faster than he ever could. If it had occurred to him to at least try to dance while running, he may have succeeded in activating time-weaving. But his mind was panicked. Just ahead of him he saw a cliff. Jump and possibly die, or get hurt, or get eaten horrifically. He made up his mind prior to even thinking that thought. Jack didn't even stop or slow down. The valley below revealed itself the closer he propelled himself. Far-off hills, distant trees, and nearby lakes at the foot of the cliff made his eyes widen with hope. Fear no longer being the driving force of his footfalls, but hope. His flapping arms moved to a proper running position. His eyes focused, and his shoulders tilted forward, aiming for that goal for potential survival. The entire valley before him, in all its beauty, shone. Jack didn't even slow down, as he forced his body to leap to his only chance. The beasts stopped, knowing better than to plummet to their deaths. Though the first beast, which was right behind Jack, and would have gotten him if he had a mere 5 more paces prior to the cliff, did jump with him, still giving chase. Every other beast had enough wits about them to force their footfalls to stop. They collectively shrugged and returned back to the village, where plenty of food was still laid about. Jack returned his arms once again to flapping as his body uncontrollably flew through the air, mostly down, of course, after his upward momentum ceased. At the peak of height, he took in the full view of the green paradise below him. It looked wonderful. He never closed his eyes, even when gravity seized him, dragging down to where he hoped would be the lake. If he were a stable mind, he would tuck his arms in for a prepared landing. He literally grew up last night. The beast, with its far greater strength, lunged further than Jack. He saw the thing pass him and fall just as he was. They locked eyes as they fell together. The beast had a look of betrayal about it, which, rightfully so, confused Jack. "How is this my fault? You were trying to kill me. It's not my fault you're going to die because I wanted to live." Then they crashed. Jack slammed quite painfully into the water. No bones were broken. The beast slammed into the rocky shore, dying instantly. Its caprice shattered, tearing open, forcing guts and other innards to explode out, turning the light brown sands into red and green mush. While the water, through the chaos, through the blur of wetness, a green magic flowed into the water. It streamed, encircling the young mystic, entering his body. Jack swam to the surface, utilizing his 4 arms to propel himself in a singular movement. He popped his head in the surface, looking in the direction of the beast, and it was confirmed. The last bit of green magic streamed out of the thing, moving in his direction. So that's how it's done. Jack knew what had happened. He felt the beast now part of him. He swam to the shore, noticing his skin was green as he did so. Though by the time he reached the red and green sand, his skin reverted back to gray. Jack wanted to sit or lay down on the soft sand, but knew better. The first thing he did when he stood on the shore was take in his surroundings. He needed to be sure no other beasts were in the way, that none of them were working their way down the cliff safely. His eyes scanned the simple path at the top of the valley. Nothing but shrubbery, trees, and dirt was visible. Beasts were not known for their stealth, to which Jack was grateful. His body fell into the sand. He did not care about the beast's innards touching him, though he will later when he notices the smell. He allowed himself this comfort, even if it were for a brief moment. While he intended for this to be a brief moment, Jack instead closed his eyes without realizing it. His eyes shot open at the realization that he had fallen asleep. The sky was dark once again. Jack could see the red moon rising by itself. "Oh, no!" he exclaimed, and shot his body up. Then he relaxed after the initial shock of the entire day having gone by with him unconscious. "Oh, I suppose there isn't a hurry." A rotten, vulgar smell wafted his senses. He cringed at the disgusting odor. He sniffed his arms, which were covered in the terrible greenish-red goo. Jack spent some time in the lake washing the stuff off of his body, occupying his thoughts solely with this one task. Jack stepped out of the water. He glanced at the dead beast on the rocky shore. That thing is a part of me now. I could summon it. Norg said that summoners depend on concentration. I'll just focus on that beast and bring it out of me somehow. Maybe it's just that simple. I will it. He sat on a clean part of the beach, clean of guts anyways, then closed his eyes, picturing the beast. With his eyes closed, he started to see an image. He couldn't tell if he imagined this image or if this image were real. The beach that he sat on formed in his mind. Then he saw himself in front of himself, meditating. Jack opened his eyes and saw the spectral green beast right in front of his face. He scrambled to his feet and jumped back out of surprise, though he shouldn't have been. The spectral beast faded away due to the loss of concentration. Jack looked at his 4 hands. They were green, but the green faded to gray. He took in a deep breath and sighed, then nodded his understanding. He closed his eyes again, preferring to stand this time. He focused in the exact same way, and the same thing occurred. He could see himself before himself. Jack mentally prepared himself for the sight this time. He cautiously and slowly opened his eyes. There the thing stood directly before him. His vision was blurred, however. He could simultaneously see out of his own eyes, and what the summoned beast could see overlapped his own sight. It made everything look jumbled and confusing. He closed his eyes, focusing solely on the beast's vision. Jack made the thing move forward, and then backward. He then tried to make himself move, and not the beast, but instead both of them moved the willed direction. This will take a very long time to master. It seems I can only control you while I have you summoned. An idea came to Jack's mind. Beasts are far faster than us mystics due to their 6 legs. I can either control it or myself. Yes, that is what I'll do. It took a long time for Jack to get onto the beast without dismissing it. He fell off a few times prior to figuring out how to mount the thing properly, and even longer to figure out how to not fall off while in motion. Eventually, Jack managed to make the beast hold onto his body while he rode it. After a long session to organize the minute details of riding, he wasn't perfect, but it was successful. At first, Jack couldn't run as the beast. He couldn't figure out how to move his legs. Do I move all the right legs, then the left legs, or do I move them intermittently? He tripped, causing his body to flop onto the ground. The beast vanished into a wisp of green smoke. Jack rubbed his head, then sat up straight, pulled his legs in, and proceeded to meditate. With no way to measure time, he could not tell how long it took him to adjust to having 6 legs. After a considerable time, he taught himself how to walk. Running was a different matter, but he did master a brisk jog, if not a full-on sprint. In time, he would master that too. He left the valley on the back of his spectral beast, galloping east to the nearest town. He would ride the remainder of the night. The red moon occupied the center of the sky, giving everything an ominous red tinge. Rising from the eastern horizon, the blue moon peered out, shining its dark light across the land, combining the two lights in a few spots, such as the tops of the trees and the distant mountains, turning them purple. Jack took in the sight, but felt his mind almost slip, and the beast began to fade. He returned his attention to his mount, and the thing stabilized. A stabbing sensation pierced his abdomen. A massive, sharp object was felt thrusting inside of him faster than his mind could process. His eyes widened with shock, horror, and pain. His head shot in the direction of whatever assaulted him. Even through the pain of being impaled, the eyes alone sent shivers down his spine. A preternatural cold flowed through him. He knew what this was and regretted making eye contact with it. For his entire life, he was taught to avoid the stare of a darkling, and here he was, not even 2 feet away from one. All he could see were the thing's eyes. It bore into his very being, paralyzing him. This creature of shadow and terror stabbed Jack's beast. Jack ceased concentrating on it, though that was unintentional. This served in preserving his very life. He fell to the ground, which shocked him back, ending the darkling's hold upon him. "Run!" The voice came into his mind clearer than any thought he has ever had. No further prompt was necessary. Jack jumped up full of fear that propelled onward. If his mind was clear, he would look back at the darkling to take in the full view of the creature. However, the eyes were enough of a view to satisfy his curiosity for a lifetime. He did not need to look back to know the thing was pursuing him. Jack knew that he needed to access time weaving, but his mind was too jumbled to focus on any memory of Zed dancing that could aid him. He sprinted under a branch and heard the wood break shortly thereafter. The monster was less than 20 paces behind, based on the sound. He dared not look back to confirm that. The only saving grace Jack had was the low-hanging branches of the forest. For every branch he ducked under, the inevitable breaking sound came sooner and sooner. In the distance, just 2 hills and many trees, Jack saw his destination, the town of Brask. His eyes lit with excitement and hope, only to wince in terror at the realization that he could not possibly outrun the darkling with the distance remaining. Even if every tree miraculously favored him in their growth and a thick branch provided perfect cover, the creature would still break through and reach him long before he could reach the town. Jack desperately kicked as he ran, which should have slowed his pace. He imagined drums and moved his arms in an imaginary rhythm, a simple 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 3 beat. He took a massive risk on the number 3 to stop just long enough to kick the ground behind himself. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was due to having a time weaver as a parent and merely observing them for their entire lifespan. but the desired effect was achieved. Jack turned blue, and then with his back kick propelled forward at more than 3 times the speed he could possibly achieve with a full sprint. It was a leap into the air, more forward than up. His first successful time-weaving saved his life. Yet even with this, he knew deep down that his new speed wasn't enough. The Darkling screeched a hideous sound that not only fully instilled its fear, not in a paralytic state like before, but enough to ensure the terror was too much to allow Jack to put up any sort of fight. He retained his wits, and at each landing with his jump, he would shuffle while in the air to continue his movements to keep the dance going. The imagined drumbeat was his only source of hope. His thoughts clung to that desperately. He timed the drum thought to be the 3 beats as his foot would land. Jack kicked in a separate direction with each land. He felt the swipe of whatever the Darkling used to stab his beast just barely missed his own body with each landing. His serpentine jumps saved him. Jack jumped out of the forest. The brightness of the torchlight caused him to stumble and trip. He scrambled to his feet, spun around, and held his hands up defensively, ready to be torn to shreds. The Darkling did not pursue. The outline of his wings was seen retreating back into the forest, blending in with the surrounding darkness of the trees. Only now did he notice his heart beating profusely, virtually pounding out of his chest. Jack allowed himself to collapse. Unconsciousness took him. End of Chapter 2.